Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Wednesday, August 21st, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today. High Priestess in its reversal. My feminine energy here. Why are you questioning yourself? Why are you going through those experiences of self-doubt? Why are you going through that moment of becoming overly harsh or critical upon oneself? Listen, having this type of work during this retrograde period, it's not uncommon. We're doing a lot of this work right now. We're moving aside the ego, right? There's a lot of that work that we're seeing here in terms of the ego being rebuilt during this retrograde period. Some aspects of this have to kind of be built or based upon a lot of the feminine energy going through that deep introspection. That can be difficult. That can be hard. But we also recognize that a lot of this work is a continuation of the path work that we've been seeing that the feminine energy has been doing up until this point. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. That ability of introspecting, navigating spaces and places in a way that feels like it is positive, in a way that feels like it is supportive. This is a lot of the work that the energy deep within the divine union has been doing to a certain extent. It isn't easy. I've been telling you, we had a whole recap prior to beginning today's read about how difficult some of this work is, especially and particularly if this is the feminine energy that's looking back on past experiences and recognizing I want to point out that for a lot of the energy, something that's happening right now for feminine energy deep within the divine union has to do with the clarity by which the feminine is looking forward at this time. Because if this is feminine energy that has that ability of coming into a point of clarity, really truly seeing oneself, seeing one's situation, even potentially connecting with your higher frequencies, recognizing and identifying and seeing something that you couldn't see before, those can be those moments that are hard to push through, right? Because this could be a lot of the energy of the feminine acknowledging their lack of perception in the past, and then having that anxiety or doubt or fear being brought forth in the present. Feminine energy, if you're going through any of this work right now, this is a lot of that letting go. This is a lot of that energetic release that we've spoken about that ability of identifying and recognizing that you cannot hold regret around things that you could not see. How can you hold regret for something that you could not see? That's not a space that you can inhabit. And this is more of that feminine energy that is learning to bring that compassion that they express or they feel for others back towards the self. Because for the feminine energy coming into that modality, this is requiring the feminine to understand that your job isn't to be perfect. Your job is to move with intentionality. So we see even now, like this could be a lot of the feminine energy navigating that space, potentially feeling that frustration in terms of observing things from the past with that heightened sense of clarity, but also feeling some of that anxiety about the ability of trusting oneself as you go forward from this point. Masculine can help with this, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Because masculine is more, and we'll get into this because I'm sure some of the cards are going to articulate upon this. Masculine moves more in that modality of acting first, thinking later, which is what is going to help with this in some degree. For masculine and feminine energy, this is happening across all of the frequencies right now. This is happening across all of the frequencies. And again, the difficulty or the hurdle here that we're seeing for the energy coming into divine union, this is a trust process. For the energy coming into the divine union right now, there's a lot of that feminine energy coming into that modality of learning to trust oneself or learning to trust what that plan or pathwork is. If this is energy that is building into a breakthrough via the ability of the masculine to articulate upon what those plans are going forward. Remember, feminine energy, the process of trust does not require you to give trust lightly. The best way to indicate if trust is earned is via time. So even here we see that there could be a lot of the feminine energy that, again, cannot be too hard on themselves in this, because this might be a lot of the feminine energy putting too much responsibility on the self. This is a continual work effort that we see that is occurring right now for feminine. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is more of trusting that process. Because I'm seeing even now that for a lot of the feminine energy in separation, this is either the feminine energy coming into that state of trusting if there's masculine energy that's able to articulate upon that path going forward, but also recognizing that the only way to truly be able to trust in something is to give something energetic time. More of the feminine holding their heart space at a bit of a distance. Or this is feminine energy that is trying to articulate to masculine that if there's emotionality that is being expressed without the clarification or clarity about what that pathwork is going forward, then it's not something that feels like an energetic gift so much as it feels like a burden. It feels like that problem that is being given to the feminine in order to solve. So this is more of that continuation of yesterday's message. While for masculine and feminine, for masculine energy right now, for the energy deep within the divine union, this could be more of that work of giving feminine confidence in this way, giving feminine that energetic support, giving feminine that energetic vitality to a certain degree. For the energy coming into divine union, this could be a lot of the masculine energy that is healing from experiences in the past, wherein they felt like they couldn't build into that point of trust with the feminine. So more of this trust process that is being established and recognized. So for either the energy right now that is coming in, moving into divine union, this is healing from past feminine energy, wherein you felt like you couldn't build that secure space of trust that would allow one to come into that space or place of acknowledging the things from the past that allow you to facilitate improvements going forward. While for a lot of the energy right now, if this is energy coming into divine union because of the articulation of a plan, this could be that recognition point of a feminine energy that's holding, that's reserving their trust to see if that is something that is potentially coming into fruition. While for a lot of this energy in separation right now, and this is why I was articulating this, if this is masculine that is only coming towards feminine from a place of expressing the emotionality, but not the plan, this could be a lot of the masculine energy in separation, having a feminine energy articulating towards them in some way, shape, or form, that when you express the emotions without the clarity, you're not necessarily giving someone a gift so much as you're giving someone an energetic burden. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our Strength card in its reversal. So this is soft energy today. This is vulnerable energy. This is honesty. And this is difficult honesty that I'm seeing here. This is the type of honesty that I want to say that we often want to rely upon. Because this could be a lot of the feminine energy in separation right now. Almost saying something, not in a way of trying to fix something, but almost saying something out of a sense of purpose. Like, this is the energy, there's some energy of feminine right now in separation that is almost saying some things right now to masculine in a way of saying, I'm not saying this for the benefit of myself. I'm saying this for the benefit of you. Like, this could be a lot of, like, I want to say radical honesty that may potentially be being articulated today in separation. And a lot of that could be that sense or that space. This is some of that compassion that we spoke about. Because we see even here, for some energy of feminine in separation right now, this is almost the feminine energy saying something in such a way as to say, this isn't something I'm doing because it benefits me. I'm doing this because I feel like it benefits you. Even if it puts the feminine in this is a lot of feminine right now in separation, expressing compassion via truth. So this is a lot of that act of giving forth in such a way of the feminine saying, my ability to try to heal something overrides my ability of wanting something to come forward in a way. Like, this is like a lot of that open, honest expression here. So this could be a lot of hard conversations right now for energy and separation, because masculine, if you may be receiving this, and I want to express this to some of the masculine if you're receiving this, because I could see some masculine energy right now. And this is more of those miscommunications that are often very possible during retrogrades. If there's a feminine energy that is articulating something to you in a way that feels like They're coming through by way of saying, I'm not saying this because it benefits me, but it benefits you. That's not a feminine energy that's giving up on you in some way, shape, or form. That is feminine energy that's trying to move into that state or space of recognizing and trying to help. Because I'm going to say it again, we just keep seeing a lot of this energy right now in separation that is identifying and recognizing that without clarity, without that ability of articulating what something is going forward, like this is a lot of the energy that's in separation, that's being very mindful of not creating unhealed karmic connections. So we see even now a lot of that clarification point, a lot of that identification. That's what's helping to facilitate a lot of healing right now. And it's soft energy. Like there's compassion here. But it may be for feminine, this may be a lot of energy in separation, articulating to masculine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Hard truths, potentially even hard truths based upon your own experiences from the past. This is moving up right now into the energy coming into divine union, because we see a lot of that honesty here, a lot of those conversations. This could be a lot of the feminine also unpacking those modalities wherein they've learned or they've had those experiences where they felt like they couldn't trust themselves, right? The difference here that's occurring for the energy coming into divine union is this is the energy that's building trust. This is the energy that's moving into that space of saying, like, this is the energy that's building. This isn't the energy, I got to say this right now. If this is masculine experiencing a feminine from a point of healing, articulating about their own experiences or doubts and fears in the realm of trust, this isn't masculine becoming, this isn't the masculine moving into divine union that's becoming reactive at that point. I told you, you have to move your ego out of the way during this retrograde process. This is masculine that's becoming receptive towards it, not taking it personally, recognizing that if the feminine energy is articulating in that way, it's not to lay it as a burden at the feet of the masculine, but trying to help the masculine share or receive their own personal perspective. So for a lot of the energy moving forward in that way, that becomes the energetic tie that binds. So this could be a lot of intimate conversations, particularly between masculine and feminine, and a lot of the feminine energy articulating upon their own doubts, their own fears, their own vulnerabilities, and masculine receiving them in kind. Now for energy deep within the divine union frequency right now, a lot of this work that we're effectively seeing is an energetic result of recognizing and identifying how much of that vulnerability has been coming to the forefront here. Because for a lot of these energies here, this is masculine that's coming into that state or space of compassion. This is feminine that's working on that pathwork of resilience. So even here, there's something about that point of appreciation of how difficult that work is that feels like the combination in relation to how far one has energetically come, while at the same time being able to feel like the thing that's helping heal during those situations and circumstances, as it were, is the ability to be expressive, to be adaptable, to be vulnerable. Third card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our 3 of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, this is what I meant about so much of this work that's occurring right now in this retrograde cycle, being one that is amplifying and articulating like a lot of that ego that is being removed here. Because this is just a lot more of that work that we're effectively seeing that almost allows for that modality of rebuilding. There's a lot of energy right now deep within the divine union that is, building into that context of identifying what those affirmations are that you're holding yourself accountable to, that are going to reshape your pathwork going forward. And a lot of that energy, this is open, this is positive, this is vital, this is viable, this is allowing so much of that work to be facilitated upon to a certain extent, specifically and particularly because that's that modality of exploration to a certain extent. This is that turning, this is like turning of a new leaf that we're seeing for so much of this energy right now, deep within the divine union. A lot of cycles that are completing, a lot of new chapters that are opening. And so when a new chapter opens, you kind of it's up to you to be able to write out what those things are going to be. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy experiencing that to a certain extent, this could be a lot of that description about what one's ideals are, to be able to navigate and recognize what those vulnerabilities are in the process. So a lot of communication right now between, I want to say, hopes and fears. But that's all in the process of being able to lay plans. Masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union. A lot of this work that we're seeing right now is the recognition in terms of the affirmations that you're making towards one another, in terms of what you're changing going forward, especially if these were circumstances or situations wherein there was some definition of conflict that occurred in the past that is now rebuilding or building within the self new possibilities, new affirmations, new dedications in terms of the standards that you're holding yourself to as you proceed forward. Because if there's trauma that's being released or unpacked here, if there was something that came out at a point of conflict that you didn't necessarily feel like was in alignment to where you currently are, this is the commitment of the affirmation in terms of being able to release that. And for a lot of the energy right now, if these are energies that are coming into divine union by the expression of what one aspires and desires and what that plan is, this is the energy that's starting to talk about the particulars of those plans. And for a lot of the feminine energy, that ability to talk about those plans moving forward is how we see so many of these fears being alleviated. That's the building of the of the trust. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, in separation, this is potentially what I'm seeing here, what could be resulting in the closing out of some cycles. Because again, if these are modalities or experiences wherein the feminine is just receiving emotionality, if someone is just receiving the articulation of emotionality, but not with the clarity in relationality to the pathwork going forward, this could be a lot of the feminine energy that is kind of holding forth, and this could even be something that may feel more volatile, because this could be a lot of the feminine energy articulating towards masculine, that what they're effectively receiving doesn't feel like it is helping. It feels like it's creating an additional energetic burden to the feminine. It almost feels like it's coming towards feminine from a place like, this is saying to me like Achilles heel kind of energy, right? Like if this is feminine that's looking for clarity and masculine's bringing him something from the planes of feelings, this is almost the feminine saying like, is this something that's meant to help, or is this something that's meant to harm? Because the feminine's trying to articulate to the masculine how the sense of compassion does not come in just the exposition of how one feels. It's in doing the introspection on how one feels and what one desires going forward that articulates the difference between a gift and an energetic burden. Masculine, you may be receiving this right now for feminine in separation, or you may be healing from circumstances or situations that you feel like you are in an impasse with some feminine energy at this time. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is Queen of Cups. So this is emotional. There's a lot of emotionality here, particularly around feminine. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. There could even be a lot of conversations that are potentially happening right now with feminine energy in separation, articulating with either other feminine energy that's also working through pathwork of this nature, or navigating Like this could, I know I do not like bringing up energy from the past here, but there feels like there could be some energy that's being worked through right now as it relates to some kind of reference point from the past. So this is either energy that has a past together, or this is energy that is articulating upon an experience from the past that is informing the present experience, which would, i.e., be a continuation of an energetic lesson from the past. So we see even here, there could be a lot of unpacking that may be happening right now for feminine in terms of identifying and recognizing something from the past that is serving as a tool in the present, which is a gift, because that is the feminine that, again, is not coming into that modality of saying that sense of I wishing, being like, yay, I learned a really hard energetic lesson. But this is the energy of the feminine saying, I went through a hard energetic lesson and I'm committing myself to learning the lesson so as not to have to repeat the energetic lesson. And this is almost the feminine energy in separation going, and I'm willing to share that energetic lesson with you, giving you the benefit of the doubt that you're not trying to repeat it with me, but perhaps you don't know, right? So there's a lot of that feminine energy, I'm telling you right now, that's almost articulating that towards masculine, trying to do their best. And this is why it could get emotional here, not to be triggered in the process, because this is the feminine that's continuing to try to give the masculine the benefit of the doubt, in the sense that they're not cognizantly giving the feminine something that the feminine doesn't feel like is helping to help the masculine potentially recognize and identify what the feminine would aspire to receive that would actually feel like an energetic breakthrough. Masculine, you may be having a lot of these conversations right now with feminine. The important vitality point here is, again, if this is masculine having practical, pragmatic conversations with feminine that way, masculine is healing. Because this is the masculine healing from a feminine that's not taking it personally, but being very energetically practical in the process. You see, now the lessons are starting to help one another here, right? Because this isn't the masculine, but there could be some possibilities here where if this is the feminine that becomes overly reactive or takes something too energetically personally, this could start leading to some more of that energy of coming into separation. Still some possibilities here of breakthroughs that may be occurring right now, but this is why the feminine is investing. This is literally feminine energy in separation, investing the time to try to recognize if the masculine recognizes that they're not providing that other part of the equation or not. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that's building forth in terms of what that looks like going forward. This is the energy of masculine either hearing what the feminine's saying and saying, understood, recognized, I got it, nope, that makes perfect sense, right? And even here, the masculine having the appreciation of a feminine that is articulating through what they're seeing as an energetic blockage instead of reacting towards it, while also maintaining their energetic boundaries. This is a lot of the masculine energy that is potentially healing from past experiences where, again, the feminine was overly reactive or taking something too energetically personally. This is why I've been begging you guys not to take anything personally right now. Because so long as you're not taking anything personally and you're allowing these to be educational moments, there's like a robust amount of possibility here. But the problem is a lot of these circumstances, this is the feminine now being where the masculine was last week. Remember all those overly emotional cards we saw with masculine last week? This is feminine now in that modality. And this is why, because we see the feminine having, this is some of the feminine navigating the conflict between the head and the heart space. Because what happens when we feel something energetically for someone, but we don't see clarity about what it is going forward? That is like the very definition of a blockage between the head and the heart space, because that's the heart feeling something and the head going, yo, this is not good. This is not a good thing to feel, right? While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union frequency, a lot of this work that we see is being navigated right now. Oh, this is This is feminine energy just coming through with a lot of new energetic standards going forward. This is feminine energy like wiping the slate clean right now, high and deep within the divine union. Because this is the feminine energy. If this is modalities of feminine, looking back, okay, thank you, this is great. Looking back on situations and feeling the frustration of themselves because they didn't have the ability to see something. And then the feminine being able to give compassion back to themselves in the moment that they recognize that they're not being compassionate towards themselves. Because would you blame someone for not seeing something that they could not see? No, this is a feminine that's going through that process within the headspace saying, I would not blame someone. I would not blame someone for not seeing something that they could not see. So in the moment of feminine recognizing that, this is a lot of the feminine that's learning to heal themselves in that way. Because this is the feminine energy that's learning to be more forgiving towards oneself in the process of learning. Masculine, seeing this on the part of the feminine, you're probably like, like, because this is the masculine that's working on a clear mirror on feminine on some of this. So there's a lot of this focus right now on the feminine path work. It's all right. Masculine, there was a lot of focus on masculine path work last week. Fifth card in our 5 cards, and we still got a lot of cards to pull. Fifth card in our 5 card spread for today is Queen of Pentacles in its upright. We love to see this here because this is more like the one thing that's been happening right now within this retrograde is the feminine being very energetically practical. A lot of practicality that's rising to the surface here. And a lot of this work that I'm seeing with the feminine, like this is how the feminine is working through any of those conflicts between the head and the heart space. This is the feminine energy taking a page out of the masculine's book, which is, again, don't take it personal, take it practical. So if the feminine's being too hard on themselves, this is the feminine saying, I need to be more practical. The being hard on myself, like this is feminine energy and saying, being hard on the self does not get anything done. Getting things done gets stuff done. You can sit there and agonize about how you feel, or you could just get to work, right? So there's a little bit of this feminine energy right now that's like picking themselves up by the bootstraps, if you will. And for a lot of the masculine energy, this is a lot of the masculine energy, seeing a feminine energy that's able to go through, like I have to say this is a lot of the masculine energy, seeing a feminine energy going through that process within the self. And basically saying, this is why I care about you. This is why I appreciate you. This is that. But again, in that state or space of the energy, the masculine just saying, I'm proud of you for being able to do that. Right? Because we see even here that for a lot of that masculine energy, this is why, if this is masculine energy coming into a state or space of learning to be able to open their own compassion area, being able to do so with the feminine energy here, that doesn't close off their head or heart space, but they're able to, I want to say, like, this is an energy of the feminine that has the ability to right themselves emotionally to a certain extent. This is the feminine masculine energy that feels that security or that safety net of the feminine. That even I'll put it this way, even when you're not good, you're good. Because that's how you're good. You know what I mean? And that is something that the masculine recognizes very well. Masculine's very good at being in that space of being like, I'm not good, but I'm good, right? That's something that masculine is very good at doing. So seeing feminine being able to navigate things in the same way, these are the energies that are and this is almost a masculine coming towards the feminine saying, it's okay if you're not. And feminine being like, yeah, I know, right? Because these are the energies that are not only, again, what happens when you act as a clear mirror? You get a clear reflection. So these are the energies that are reflecting back towards one another, what they need at these times, right? Now for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing that's occurring for energy coming into divine union, this is a lot of that personal assertion in the changes either the external changes, because we've got two different tiers now, the energy coming into divine union. We've got energy that is recognizing and identifying the external changes that need to be made to build into a sense of trust, in recognizing the changes are actually going to occur, that are going to allow something to move into a point of productivity. Or these are energies that are coming into that space or place of affirmations towards oneself as to the changes that you're committing yourself to allow for better easement through conflict going forward, because we did see some of this energy navigating conflict space last week. And so that ability of identifying and taking that work internally, this isn't energy doing that for show. This is energy that's potentially coming out of a conflict and going, I'm really glad we had that conflict because I saw something within myself that I could not see before. You opened something up. You made me recognize something. This is the energy that's committing themselves to that ability because they feel that sense. They desire that ability to have productive conflict space, because when we're able to navigate conflict in a productive way, that's when the conflict becomes a breakthrough, right? That's when that becomes that, again, that's the lesson of the Mercury retrograde. You know, that space of difficulty, adversity sometimes breeds incredible gifts if we're ready to navigate it in a way that we seek solutions instead of trying to amplify problems. So we see that a lot of that energy right now coming through that space of the retrograde is building into a lot of productivity. This could even be a little bit of that shake-up, that breakthrough that allows something better to come through the other side. And some of that's either coming from the changes recognized in the self by letting go of traumas of the past through explaining your reasons and being able to navigate forward with a counterpart that's willing to do that work with you. Or this is energy that says, I recognize, and this is either masculine coming forth both with the expression of emotions and also the desire going forward. And also the recognition that if there's a feminine that's holding their heart space at a bit of a distance, this could even be the masculine saying to feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, I know you don't have cause to believe me, and that's why I'm going to prove it to you. While for some of the energy and separation right now, this could be more of that conflict space, and it could feel like even here, if this, I remember, I'm just going to say this right now, masculine energy, please go back to my previous readings if you decided to go towards a feminine this week. And you just gave them the feelings without telling them where to put them, because I just see a lot of feminine energy trying to come into that space of unpacking and explaining something to masculine right now about the difference between the emotions that are given as a gift because there's a path forward with clarity versus the confusing emotions we can give someone in a place or space of saying, here's something I don't know what to do with. Can you help me with it? Continuing to get, and I see a lot of the feminine energy struggling very hard right now, trying to stay or maintain a point of energetic composure as they navigate those spaces, trying to give the benefit of doubt that someone provided something without recognizing what difficulty that could potentially create. Continuing to get clarification between our High Priestess in its reversal and our Strength card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with, we've got here our Nine of Wands and it's upright. This is hard for the energy and separation right now. Because I'm telling you right now, if there was, and this is why that juxtaposition of those lessons is either leading to breakthroughs or breakdowns. Because if this is feminine, that again is holding very firm to the sense of the recognition point that commitment isn't just the expression of emotions, but the direction that those emotions are supposed to go towards, like what that pathwork is. This is more of that feminine holding very firm in that modality, right? This is the feminine energy potentially even questioning themselves as they do so, but then immediately recalibrating, because this is a lot of that feminine energy that basically recognizes the difference between emotions that feel like they create a state of vulnerability in the feminine, versus the emotions that empower, versus the emotions that feel like they are safe, like they are secure, versus the emotions that feel like they're creating a space or place of the feminine feeling energetically safe. So we see even now, this could be a lot of the feminine energy having difficult conversations with masculine in separation, that could be a lot of the amplification of articulating and saying, do you understand the position that you've energetically put someone in? Because if this is feminine that's only receiving like the emotionality of something without the clarity in terms of the path work, this is a lot of that feminine saying, you're giving me that, you're giving an emotional problem to feminine to solve. It doesn't feel so much like a gift that the feminine is receiving. Masculine, if you're in this modality and separation right now, there could be some kind of energetic confusion that's happening here, particularly if this is a masculine that is feeling, and this is why I was telling you masculine, I recognize that there's a lot of masculine energy right now that's feeling that emotional breakthrough, feeling that sense, that excitement, that vitality of being able to emotionally express something, and at the same time feeling the confidence of being able to give it forth. That's why it's really important right now, masculine, if you're having these type of conversations, not to take something energetically personally, because for a lot of that masculine energy right now, recognizing and identifying that this is feminine energy that is not coming into an accusatory space. And that's why it's really important that these need to be like, you know, less like you cannot come from a point of like reactivity here. Like that modality of trying to say like what you're bringing forth, it's not that it's not energetically appreciated, but recognizing and identifying and inhabiting that space of empathy in the relationality to what you're effectively delivering and what it may create within another. A lot of the energy in that modality right now is effectively identifying and recognizing what those changes are. So we see even now that could be a lot of that energetic unpacking. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing that's potentially occurring right now coming into divine union, this is a lot of the energy that may be experiencing and recognizing those spaces or places wherein someone felt energetically triggered. Someone felt overly reactive. That ability of seeing, experiencing those expression points, and then allowing them to be the energetic breakthrough. What we're effectively identifying here is there's a lot of this energy that is coming through and seeing their own limitations, their own boundaries, even as we mentioned, maybe spaces and places that were valid and required. When we're not in healthy spaces, we often have to close parts of ourselves down, right? That act, like navigating trauma in such a way that we shut down parts of ourselves for the sake of protecting something integral. This is a lot of energy that may be moving into a deeper space of healing because you're starting to observe and see those spaces within the self that may be safe to come into open expression with. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing deep within the divine union right now, I want to say there's a lot of this unpacking that may be occurring right now, particularly in relationality towards feminine and for masculine. For feminine, a lot of this work may be the amplification of, again, more of this work that we're seeing that is really recognizing and identifying the stability. I want to say a lot of the feminine energy right now, deep within divine union, has found that ability of being energetically practical in such a way that, you know, it creates a calibration point. It immediately creates a calibration point because this is the feminine energy that has the stability within oneself. For masculine, seeing and recognizing that, like particularly around the feminine, this is a lot of the masculine energy that's still in that modality of vulnerability, because that is the gift of energetic strength that gives back to the masculine, right? Like when feminine energy is able to inhabit that space or place of strength, it's something that immediately the masculine also feels. And so we see even now a little bit more of this energy that is occurring right now for masculine. There's a lot of this there's a lot of this unpacking that may be happening here for the energy deep within divine union, you know, in relationality to coming through in terms of being able to articulate around their own vulnerabilities. Because if this is more of the masculine that's opening up their emotional center, that ability of moving through those spaces and places where it feels like it's safe to be vulnerable, this is kind of really beautiful energy, because this is just a lot of unpacking and speaking about places and spaces of trauma. Continuing to get clarification between our Strength card in its reversal and our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Ah, there we go. These two like a couple of hotcakes. They're like the little stack set. We had them earlier this week too. We've got here our King of Pentacles and our Queen of Pentacles. So we've got the combination of them. And this is the same. They were both in their upright just a couple of days ago. You can catch the full video over on my YouTube. I told you, when we move in that state or space of acting as clear mirrors, we become the energetic reflection of one another. So this is the energy that's simply being in that modality. And I have to express this. If this is a lot of the feminine energy that's like articulating to masculine and being like, I'm going through like the feminine going, I'm going through the conflict between my head and the heart space, but I'm good, right? Like this is the feminine. Masculine is like, I have never related to anything more in my entire life, right? Because what we're effectively seeing here, the difference here, and I need to stress this, and this is what's happening right now that may be creating that space in masculine, building that point of deep appreciation for feminine. This is like masculine maybe potentially saying to feminine, I recognize that I'm able to create that point of stability not by allowing myself to energetically feel things or think about things. This is the masculine looking towards feminine saying the fact that you go through that whole process, you allow yourself to inhabit those spaces and places, and then you still are able to go, like, that's great. Like, that's the masculine that's doing that work, because this is the masculine that is still like learning working through the ability of feeling the emotions, but feeling energetically stable in the process. So we see even now, I told you, these are the energies that are learning from one another. And this is a masculine almost looking to feminine saying, how do you do it? Because when I do it, I feel like that over emotionality, it rocks my own feeling of stability, right? Because emotions they're uncontrollable, right? They almost feel like you can't try to harness them, that you just have to allow yourself to feel them. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union. And this is literally, like I told you, this is a little bit of this work that masculine is doing right now in terms of learning to be stable in modalities of feeling an ability to control energetic outcomes, right? Like there's a little bit of that carefreeness is something that's more difficult for masculine. We've been unpacking that over the last few weeks or so. While for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, this is just a lot of determinative, this is a reaffirmation. And what I like about this is like level. This is the energy that is not like, I want to say, this is the energy that is working very much on building something that feels energetically equal, right? Because here we see that these energies are in such a state of balance that this is just a lot of that. This is a lot of that energy recognizing. And I want to point this out, that point of balance, it doesn't require a complete, this is the energy recognizing what each one needs to feel energetically balanced or supported. So we see even now, there's a lot of that work that may be happening for energy coming into divine union in relationality to setting those energetic standards going forward. They're going to allow spaces of either conflict to move more productively, or this is the energy of the masculine bringing forth the clarity and relationality to what it is that they aspire and desire towards feminine. And even if feminine's in a modality of doubt or uncertainty as to whether what masculine's bringing forth is something, this isn't feminine that's assuming that that's going to occur. This is almost a feminine saying that words don't match action. But this is the masculine that's almost moving very quickly to say, I'm going to show you. I'm not going to create a space or place where you have to feel like you just need to trust that this is occurring. I'm putting that point of activation in to show you that it is. While for masculine and feminine energy and separation right now, as I mentioned, this could be a lot of that work that I'm seeing in terms of helping someone articulate the difference between the ability to articulate upon emotions versus the ability to actually bring forth tangible change that could allow for partnership to occur. Because I just see even now, this is the feminine energy that is almost, again, and this could be a lot of the feminine energy articulating either about past experiences with masculine energy, or using a past experience as a frame of reference to articulate how they're feeling in the present, which is, again, a lot of the lesson that the feminine is bestowing on the masculine right now, is that emotionality is emotionality because it's changeable, because it's adaptable. That's why you can't just build an energetic connection in the expression of the emotionality. That ability to bring something into the tangible space, i.e. being able to build the pathwork in relationality to what one aspires and desires going forward. This is a lot of the feminine energy that is articulating to masculine the difference between a connection that may feel like it's just emotional and thereby just ephemeral versus an energetic connection that has the solidity and the stability wherein the feminine feels safe to inhabit it because there's a clear pathwork in relationality to the direction that it's going. Continuing to get clarification on our 3, and for masculine energy, this is not necessarily the feminine energy. If you're receiving this, rejecting something that you're saying from an emotional space, this is not feminine energy saying to you in one shape or form that something about your emotions is not true. This is the feminine energy trying to explain to the masculine that the stability, the emotional stability that the feminine seeks is not just in the knowing that someone feels emotions for them. It's in knowing what one desires to create with them. Continuing to get clarification between our 3 of Pentacles in its reversal in combination with our Queen of Cups in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. This card can look familiar too. It's a Judgment, it's reversal. This is what we see right now with a lot of the feminine energy that in separation that may be explaining this to masculine. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. This is why if the masculine's just coming towards feminine now with the articulation of one's feelings, feminine may be in that modality of expressing and saying the thing about feelings, the reason you can't just build a foundation of a relationship simply on the feelings is because feelings can energetically change. They're adaptable, right? A commitment does not come in that modality of saying that, and that's not that sense. It is the recognition point that when we move into commitment, the commitment that we experience and build with one another is, we say, it is that the tangible choice in articulating pathwork again and again and again and again and again. It is that intentional choice that we bring forth that amplifies. This is that trust process, like the true energetic connection that is that affirmation that at every moment you trust. Again, a good energetic connection is built on trusting another's judgment. And that judgment that we seek to experience via our counterpart is the judgment that when they move forward in their choices, that those choices are not unilateral. They're mindful of the partnership itself. So that mindfulness in terms of thinking towards partnership, that choice of thinking not unilaterally, but within the energy of the divine union, this is the energy that is amplifying and articulating that the reason that the expression of emotionality isn't simply enough, because one can be very unilateral about how one feels. that does not express the same choice in saying, I want to bring you into a state or space where you are becoming the energetic priority, and I'm going to weigh all of the determinative decisions that I make going forward upon that again and again and again and again. And this is why if there's any kind of volatility that may be happening right now within the energy and separation, if this is, again, energy either from the past or energy that is being informed upon a past experience, this is the amplification about requiring and needing the clarity in relationality to knowing what one desires going forward. Because that energy that is not assuming, feminine is not assuming that masculine desires the same determinative partnership as the feminine unless it is being articulated, because it is their responsibility to craft that together. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating those spaces and places, having that ability to inform, having that ability to consider that, this is either what's making a lot of energetic connections right now. Masculine seeing a feminine that is not taking it personally, but is being very expository in relationality to expressing what it is that they need. Potentially allowing for that breakthrough point to articulate what that is going forward. Or if these are modalities where, again, someone is just bringing forward the emotions, but with a lack of the responsibility in terms of what they mean, that means going forward. Potentially something that brings more confusion with it than it does clarity. This is the energy that's expressing and articulating that in order to recognize and identify what needs to be, what can either be navigated. And this is the energy trying to seek out whether that clarity exists, to determine if this is something that feels like there's a possibility of going forward here, or if this is something that is just like, I want to say, the emotional anchor that creates confusion that doesn't necessarily allow for an ability to go forward. It just kind of weighs you down in the present. Masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now. This is the reconsideration in terms of how you navigate conflict going forward. Because if these are energies that felt like conflict was a wall, and now you're recognizing the expansive possibility of healthy conflict, this is the energy that I told you. The choice in making those changes within the self. This is energy that's seeking the same changes in the counterpart. So this is the energy that's matching energy, if you will, and setting those energetic standards along the way. While for masculine and feminine energy deep within the divine union frequency right now, this is a lot of that energy that is just, this is masculine energy reaffirming to feminine that feminine's own ability to question oneself, but not like, but like in itself is how the feminine is so balanced. Because this isn't the feminine energy. I'm seeing here, this is a lot of the masculine energy that's almost again reaffirming to feminine that their own conscientiousness, that they hold themselves to high, like they you know, are hard on themselves about. This is a lot of masculine saying to feminine, bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. That's your best quality. That's your best characteristic. Like, that's the energy. That's a lot of the masculine looking and saying, I have a different opinion on it than you do. And I see even now, like, some of that conflict energy that may be occurring here could be a lot of the masculine almost saying to feminine, the way you perceive something about yourself is what I consider your highest trait, that your highest quality. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Queen of Cups in its reversal and our Queen of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Queen of Swords. Jeez Louise. Oh, we got three of the four queens out today. And the High Priestess. So this is a lot of feminine unpacking today. This is a lot of feminine unpacking today. And this is, I gotta stress this right now. This is either feminine unpacking something within the self, or this is feminine like coming to the support of other feminine energy here. I gotta just say it. I just gotta say it. This could be a lot of the energy of feminine that may be kind of coming towards like helping other feminine. Like this is a lot of that energy here. And some of it I need to stress, you know, for the energy within divine union, this is like I'm seeing here, this could be a lot of the feminine energy in divine union. These are those boundaries that we were talking about. This is a lot of that feminine energy navigating those energetic boundaries again, right? Like this is a lot of that process of working through the boundaries, but working through I want to say the compassionate boundaries, right? And so this is either the feminine energy unpacking some of those compassionate boundaries that they're setting with masculine, that's reaffirming their own ability going forward here. Or this is a lot of feminine energy that is helping other feminine energy reaffirm their own energetic boundaries. Like one or the other is effectively happening. And this makes a lot of sense given the fact of what we're seeing coming through right now for the energy deep within, like the energy in separation. Because for the energy right now, coming into divine union, I told you a lot of this masculine energy. What's the masculine energy working on right now to build deeper into an energetic connection with feminine? Getting more stable at becoming vulnerable. Being able to articulate through vulnerability instead of reacting to it, right? While for a lot of the feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is more that ability of not taking something energetically personally. I told you this is not the time to take anything personally. Building those energetic standards, right? And having that ability of like navigating those spaces of places of not becoming defensive, but becoming like just inhabiting that space of being able to be kind of resilient in relationality to something that someone is giving you. And we see even now that for some of that energy, this could be like some of the feminine energy navigating spaces or places with feminine energy that is in a place of emotionality, but helping them recognize and identify like where those standards are, like helping to find those spaces, right? For masculine and feminine energy and separation right now, this is that, I'm telling you even now, there's energy that's starting to move into divine union out of separation. And there's a lot of trust here. That's why all of these queen cards are out. Because this is a lot of the masculine energy that may be saying to feminine and building forth with a plan and saying, I know you don't believe me. I know you've had experiences in the past where someone may have articulated something to you and then they didn't come forward with it. But this is a lot of the energy of the masculine side. They're coming towards feminine and saying, my commitment is to change your own ability, like your own perception on that. This is the masculine that's like literally saying, it's not your responsibility to trust me. It's my responsibility to show you that I am someone that is capable of being trusted. While for some energy right now in separation, if these are modalities where, again, someone is just expressing the emotions, but they're not giving the clarity of what that pathwork looks like going forward, this could be a lot of feminine energy, not only drawing those energetic boundaries, but getting conversation or getting confirmation support from other feminine energy. Like this is the energy that, like I told you, this isn't energy that's just a feminine that just comes into a hasty decision. This is the feminine energy that like checks with other feminines along the way and saying, am I wrong here? Like you see this could be the feminine being like, am I not viewing something? Because I told you, feminine's got to worry, has a concern about clarity, perspective. So when feminine has a concern about perspective, what does feminine do? They outsource it. They potentially outsource it to other feminines. Like this is a feminine energy coming towards other feminine potentially going, am I missing something here? Am I wrong? Can you check my homework? Right? This is the feminine in separation potentially going to other feminines going, can you check my homework here? And the feminine energy around them being like, no, your work seems pretty clear. Like it seems pretty accurate. continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Nine of Wands in combination with our King of Pentacles in its upright. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Oh, this card. But again, I know we ended this card. Remember, this card was in our reading yesterday, but it was in its upright. We're very happy now to see it in its reversal. Because even when we saw it in its upright yesterday, we're not afraid of this card. The Tower card is not a card to be feared. The Tower card is a card of breakthrough. It's a card of possibility. It's a card of recognizing something before something happens. It's mindfulness. It can be a lot of things. The difference between a breakdown and a breakthrough is how you navigate it. And so one of the things that we're seeing that's happening here, this could be a lot of the feminine energy right now in separation, having hard conversations with masculine energy. But this is the feminine, and why would a feminine energy be having a difficult conversation with masculine? Because this is the feminine energy saying, and I told you, we talked about Band-Aid ripping. We talked about Band-Aid ripping. Better, this is feminine saying, better a small difficulty now than a big difficulty later. Better to tackle it when it's small before it becomes big. This is why so much of the feminine energy in separation is holding their heart at a distance from masculine. And this is why even now, if this is masculine that's just bringing emotions to feminine, this is feminine that's saying the emotions are not enough. You have to give clarity, because this is feminine saying to masculine, if you're asking me, if you're asking the feminine to share that emotionality with you without clarification, this is literally the feminine energy that's saying to masculine, I'm not just going to give you my heart and let you go running out the door with it. You got to tell me where you're going with it first. What direction are you headed? Are we moving in the same direction? Right? Because this is the feminine energy that's trying to articulate to the masculine. If this is masculine saying, I'm telling you this to see if you feel the same way. This is the feminine. This is why I told you there may be a little bit of this like juxtaposition here. This is the feminine saying, I'm not going to cloud the conversation with emotions, because this is the feminine energy almost saying, how I feel towards you is not the consequence, because this is the feminine saying, I'm holding back on the emotions until I see the clarity, because this is feminine potentially talking about either past experiences or potentially experiences that have occurred with masculine energy. Saying, because in the past, this is feminine saying, when I didn't do that, it led to energetic disaster. So this is the feminine energy saying, I'm not saying this to shut something down. This is the feminine saying, I'm saying this from a place of care, right? More of that compassion. I told you a lot of the work of the feminine right now is the compassion within energetic standards. Now, masculine, and this is why I'm saying this right now, masculine, if you're receiving this right now, recognize and identify. This is the feminine that's basically trying to articulate the difference between longing and love. Longing is coming from a space of desire. Longing is saying to someone that you have emotions for them without any clarity. Longing, it's not that they're not invalidating the way that you may feel, but the difference between longing and love is the combination of articulating how you feel and then building into that commitment and relationality to the pathwork that you desire to set forward with a counterpart. That is the expression of love. So this is a lot of that energy that may be navigating a lot of that territory right now. And the articulation and the amplification is not that modality of the feminine wanting you to feel like, not wanting you to feel bad if that was that modality of you expressing how you feel, but trying to discern if that clarity, if your clarity in terms of identifying what that path would look like going forward is the consideration that you're putting towards the feminine in terms of how they're receiving what you're giving them. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that ability to grow together, that ability to build upon that plan, that ability to be mindful about what feels like it's balanced, what both energies need to feel stable and secure in partnership, it doesn't relate to complete equality here. Feminine and masculine need different things to feel stability. Masculine needs to feel that security of that ability to be vulnerable towards feminine in a way that the feminine does not become reactive or defensive. Feminine requires the masculine to build into that point of trust, or helping the feminine recognize that that trust is something that the masculine identifies is the gift that the feminine gives the masculine. And so we see even now, these are the energies that are mutually setting their pathwork on what they're changing within the self to be able, or outside of the self, to be able to facilitate pathwork going forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, deep within the divine union frequency, a lot of this energy I'm seeing here is talking about change. There's a lot of this energy right now that either has been going through a lot of immediate changes in terms of their own experiences, or they're helping others navigate them, is what I'm really seeing. And that's either that modality here, where I feel like a lot of that energy within the divine union is giving support, is giving advice towards those around them to empower them to build into their own energetic standards. But at the same time, they're validating each other's experiences as they do this work within the self. And it's more of the same that we're seeing. Feminine, maintaining those healthy standards. Masculine, learning to be able to be vulnerable and feeling like it's safe to do so. Continuing to, and that work is restorative, even as it is difficult. Continuing to get clarification on these cards between our King of Pentacles and our Judgment card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Ace of Wands in its reversal. I will say here, there's a little calibration, like there is a little calibration that I see is occurring in some of these situations or scenarios right now. Because I'm almost identifying here that a little bit of this disparity that I'm seeing may have to do with some differences in implementation in relationality to pathwork going forward right now for some of the energy deep within the divine union frequency. And I only say that here because I see so much of this Judgment card in its reversal in combination with our Three of Pentacles in its reversal. So some of this work could be facilitating forward in such a way as deciding what those plans are going forward. And at the same time, recognizing and identifying like comfortability points between masculine and feminine. Because I just see here that, you know, I want to point out, the only thing I'm recognizing here is there's distance between here the King and the Queen of Pentacles. And this could have a lot to do with the difference of perception that could be happening right now around something that masculine is navigating and feminine is navigating. And so a lot of that articulation in relationality to those perspectives, like that could be a lot of like feedback. And for feminine, this is interesting because this is a little bit of the difference between masculine taking a little bit more of an adaptable approach here, feminine becoming a little bit more energetically rigid. I actually see that maybe happening here. So this could be a little bit of that calibration in relationality to what those plans are going forward. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union. But even here, it's like that's the value of the expression. For masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the unpacking of trauma that's reaffirming your own commitment towards one another going forward. And this is the energy that if there was anything here that felt like it was a bit of a conflict, now it feels like fertile ground from which to build. Because this is the energy that is having breakthroughs right now. And so some of that difficulty, being able to navigate in a way, feminine staying very practical, not taking things personally, masculine being able to be emotionally vulnerable in such a way that you're able to articulate through the emotions instead of reacting to them. This is the energy that's now becoming very productive in that space, because this is the energy that appreciates, like that not only, I want to say, not only appreciates being the work of the self, but feels like they're working in an energetic connection with a counterpart that allows them to be their best version of self in the process. While I see even now for some energy and separation, there's some energy and separation potentially having some real breakthroughs right now. Those breakthroughs are coming through the expression of the emotions as well as the articulation of the long term of the plans going forward. But for any of the energy that's not receiving that right now, this could be a lot of the energy that's like, I want to say thank you. Like, it could be the energy I was saying to someone, thank you for letting me know. Like, thank you for letting me know how you feel. But having to almost like energetically leave something at that, because like, again, when someone articulates how they feel, but there isn't that practicality brought forth, there isn't that positivity, the possibility. This is the energy that's trying to introspect to see the difference between someone just getting something off of their chest versus the ability to articulate forward and then to amplify what that aspiration or desire is going forward, that helps someone recognize or identify what feels like it's an energetic gift versus someone giving something to someone as a problem that they have to navigate in order to solve to a certain extent. So we see even now a lot of that work that may be facilitated here. This is leading. These are conversations that are leading to like productivity, one, like it's almost getting here, like the productivity one way or another. And the productivity one way or another is either the amplification of what feels like it's possible versus someone giving someone the energetic note in terms of saying this to someone and saying, I'm telling you something difficult so that you can navigate and hold on to it going forward and potentially let that be something that helps you in order to avoid something like this occurring. You know, like continuing to get clarification between our Judgment card in its reversal, and this is the Queen of Swords. So this is a lot of that feminine energy. This is how so much of this feminine energy right now in separation is maintaining their energetic standards while at the same time being energetically compassionate. They're turning it into an energetic lesson, right? Like one that they themselves are also receptive towards. Next card to get clarity on this is the World card in its reversal. So this is how the feminine energy is maintaining compassionate standards even in separation, because this is the feminine energy that's almost articulating and saying to some of the energy coming towards them right now, if something that the feminine is receiving in separation causes more confusion than clarity, this is the feminine energy articulating that. Rather than experiencing it, they are articulating it. Rather than experiencing the internal confusion, they are articulating upon how something that is being brought forth creates internal confusion, utilizing the path work from the past experience to amplify their own experiences going forward. So this is either the past returning tangibly and navigating the situation as such, or this is the energy that's saying, I've had an experience in this. This has happened before. This is something that I try to energetically avoid, and this is why. So that is that gift of the past that, again, it's not the ideal. It's not the desire to have gone through something that was, but once you do, there's a nice energetic lesson that comes through the other side of that then you can then implement going forward, because then again, you can see something that you couldn't see before. Now, for some of the energy of the masculine, again, that ability of having a productive conversation with feminine, not the feminine reacting in a way that confuses at a moment that you express the emotions, because some of the masculine energy may have some experiences in the past of saying, if this is masculine energy that says this always happens, I tell feminine energy how I feel, and then they get all confusing. This is the masculine potentially getting the clarity as to why, and potentially from a feminine that's articulating the reasons. This could feel like something that's very informative. Because again, this isn't just the feminine energy, like, you know, and if this was masculine that's healing from experiences of saying, like, in the past, every time I tell a feminine how I feel, they go, you know, everything goes, you know, cuckoo. Like, this is the feminine masculine that may be getting insight and understanding and clarity as to why now. Because again, the expression, I'm going to say this again, I'm going to put it on a t-shirt, I'm going to sell it on the street. The expression of emotions is not commitment. Commitment is the clarification of pathwork going forward. The clarification, the unification of one's emotions with the commitment, the clarification and articulation of what those emotions mean as it relates to changes going forward. So for masculine energy, this is them like you understanding that if you just bring forward the emotions to feminine without the commitment or clarification of the pathwork going forward, you're not creating something that is a gift to the feminine. It's not considered a commitment. It's like you've just added confusion to something. You've added additional confusion in terms of your feelings to the feminine's feelings, which they were also already feeling energetically confused on in the first place. The difference between a gift and an energetic burden. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the energy that's working through that pathwork. This is the energy that recognizes that they're, like, you know, in the expression or the articulation of something that is confusing. This is the energy that is bringing love to a situation, because the love is the easement of confusion. Love is the easement of confusion. Longing is confusing. Love is the easement of confusion via the security of building stability with counterpart. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, being able to navigate that, this is the energy that's, again, they're reshuffling, they're reprioritizing their priority, because the priority is becoming the energetic connection. Anything, when you prioritize an energetic connection, anything that feels like it interrupts it becomes the point of confusion. So this is the energy we see as reprioritizing, and that reprioritization is either the changes that they're implementing to allow for the facilitation of the prioritization of the connection, or this is the energy that's reaffirming the changes within the self that they're going to make those connections even better going forward, if these were scenarios or situations wherein there was confusion in the past or conflict energy that was experienced. While for masculine and feminine energy, deep within divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing deep within the divine union frequency at this time, this is navigating, this is the gift of, like, this is what the energy within the divine union does. They navigate the confusion around them with the prioritization of their own intentionality. It's not that things get easier. Things get more focused. Things get more intentional. And it's that intentionality that is helping a lot of the energy right now within divine union navigate forward in a way that feels reaffirming. Because this is the energy that almost says to themselves, even when things aren't okay, we're going to make it okay. Because this isn't the energy that, this isn't the energy that experiences others' confusion and just kind of jumps on board with it. This is the energy that drives focus through that, stays intentional. That's why, again, a lot of this work that we're seeing that's occurring for energy deep within the divine union right now is, again, more of that message. When someone gets personal, don't take things personally. Take them productively. Don't get personal, get productive. Because that sense or that space of being able to bring something forward in a way that feels intentional, that's what's helping guide a lot of the energy right now. This is a lot of work during this retrograde of really maintaining focus and keeping into that pathwork of prioritization and determination. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Tower card in its reversal and our Ace of Wands in its reversal, which I love to see in combination. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now. I'm very happy to see this card in its upright, because we've been seeing it last week. It was all up in its reversal. We've got the combination here of the kings and queens. We've got both of our kings, king and queen of pentacles out here. We've also got here our queen and our king of cups. Now the difficulty point here is that the queen today, the queen of cups, is in its reversal. Masculine, this card was in its reversal all last week. Feminine's more in their emotionality right now. Feminine's more in their emotionality. But again, what's beautiful about the energy what's beautiful about the energy that's in the, in the frequency of union is acting as clear mirror. It doesn't require you to be in exact balance at every moment, right? Because when one needs, the other can provide. The reason we see, this is the feminine energy that is getting emotional, having to maintain their own energetic standards, right? And what's masculine doing in that way? They're supporting them and doing that, right? This is the masculine that's saying that that's the feminine learning to be more energetically resilient. This almost masculine saying like that kind of comes part and parcel for doing that work. While for feminine energy, having that point of confidence towards masculine, having that ability to just articulate upon one's emotions instead of feeling like you have to react to them. A lot of the feminine energy is just like channeling that into productivity, because in the ability of having someone there to be able to like bounce things off of, and this is why we see even now feminine energy maybe bouncing things off other feminine energy. It's that validation point that's giving you the confidence to go forward. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is coming into divine union. This is the energy that is reaffirming towards one another in the process of coming into a deepened state of energetic union. What changes you're effectively setting this could be even energy that's making personal commitments to one another in the process of building into an energetic connection. Because what I'm really seeing here for a lot of this energy coming into divine union right now, this work, this ability, this identification point, this is a lot of internal work that may be happening, especially if these are scenarios where you recognize tendencies that you may have experienced from past scenarios that were requiring things that weren't helpful. This is the energy that's coming into a deeper level of healing via the connection with counterpart that makes you feel like it's safe to do so. While for masculine and feminine energy, in separation, this is why I feel like what's occurring right now, or what we're seeing, is an educational moment that, even here, so long as nobody, and this is why I keep saying it's so important you don't take things personal right now during this retrograde. So long as this is energy that is recognizing that when someone articulates something, they're giving notes because they have hopes of change, right? Like, this is the energy that's almost like, and again, this is why not letting the ego interfere in what could be a difficult conversation is so important, because we see that so much of this energy in this space right now may be having a very difficult but potentially productive conversation, because the difference in someone being receptive to what is received and letting that inform what is being brought forth, that is what is giving clarity right now for energy and relationality to whether someone whether someone's just expressing emotions without a care in terms of identifying like what that looks like in the long term, which feels more like the energetic burden, as opposed to the energy that's setting their perspective, building into that pathwork of commitment, articulating what that is. A lot of clarity that's coming right now. And for a lot of the feminine energy, that's coming by way of trying to be compassionate while also articulate about what one is receiving. For masculine, what's more difficult here is there's a little bit more of this energy of masculine that is feeling, and I gotta say this is something that's hard for masculine. It's one thing to talk about how one feels, but there's a deeper level of vulnerability that's often brought forth in the ability to articulate what one dreams. And so we see even now that for a lot of that masculine energy, that may be hard because it's almost that feeling of feeling like that deeper sense of vulnerability in having to double down towards someone in relationality, talking towards what one dreams about or what one hopes. But again, the energy coming into divine union is having breakthroughs for just that reason, because of the ability of, again, the masculine to come into a space of vulnerability, building into that place of trust that allows for trust to thrive. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Wands in its reversal in combination with our World card in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Hangman in its reversal. This is all the work that's happening right now in separation to determine what feels like it's productive versus what just feels like it is I want to say energetically, like emotional stagnancy, right? Because when we give one another emotions without clarity or context as to what that looks like going forward, it doesn't feel like a gift. It feels like a burden. It feels like something painful that we're giving one another to hold, because that's almost just, again, the expression of longing, but without clarity and relationality to what one aspires to do with it. So we see even now that there's a lot of the energy right now of feminine that's holding their heart space at a bit of distance from masculine and building into that space of saying to themselves, they're like, this is feminine saying to themselves to a certain extent in separation. It's not that the feminine's not questioning the authenticity of masculine in the ability to express the emotions, but this is more of the feminine remembering and identifying that a masculine expressing their emotions is not the same as a masculine building into a pathwork of commitment. Those are different things. You can have, you can love something, but it doesn't give you can articulate how one feels about something, but it doesn't say, that's not the expression about committing towards someone, right? And so we see that there's a lot of feminine that may be articulating this to masculine right now in separation. Masculine, if you're in that modality of receiving that right now, like not taking that energetically personally. And again, this is requiring conversations where feminine is not becoming reactive, becoming informative. Masculine being receptive and vulnerable to what the feminine is articulating. This is defining what feels like it can move into a state or space of productivity versus that moment of basically just saying, we just acknowledge that we feel this way, but there's no path going forward. Like there's some modalities where you can hit that space. So we see even now, like that is what is happening here. A lot of those heartfelt, difficult conversations that allow for acknowledgement, groundedness, and breakthroughs. So this is either, again, breakthrough energy or energy that's coming into recognition of the circumstances as they are so that they can continue forward. Masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now. This is the energy that recognizes the work. This is now the energy coming into divine union that understands that coming into divine union isn't just sunshine and rainbows. It requires work. And this is a lot of that energy that's committing on that work going forward. And this is some of the energy feeling the difficulty of some of that work. Because if these are energies that they're healing from the trauma in the past, in the process of building forth with someone, that's vulnerable. There's a lot of unpacking that's happening there. But that unpacking is what's allowing for new ground to be built. While for masculine and feminine deep within the divine union frequency right now, the only frustration that I'm seeing has to do, masculine's in a point of deep balance today. Masculine's feeling a point of energetic satisfaction right now because this is a lot of that emotionality that was occurring last week. Masculine was more in a emotional upheaval energy last week. This is coming through in a point of balance right now. Feminine, I'm seeing even here, there's a lot of work right now that's happening between feminines, like the head and the heart space right now. And it's a lot of this feminine I feel like feminine is trying to get very focused right now. And a lot of that focus makes, like, I almost see feminine coming into that modality of making decisions And so I see even now, like a lot of that work in doing so with masculine, it's like it's a lot of that collaborative work to a certain extent. And so even here, this may be a little bit more challenging of a day for the energy of the feminine within divine union, because this is more of that feminine feeling like that moment of stuckness or feeling the frustration in like moving into points of productivity. Masculine acting as a bit of a clear mirror in this way to help the feminine through this, but also at the same time building forth in that space of being very emotional open in the process. Final card for today's spread between our King of Cups and our Hanged Man in its upright. Clarification coming through right now with our Six of Pentacles in its reversal. So, you know, a lot of this I'm seeing right now, a lot of this has to do with, I need to say this, like, and we've seen this with happening for a lot of the feminine energy right now, deep within divine union. This is more of the feminine energy navigating those spaces or places of compassion, but the limitations of that to a certain extent, because we see even now that so much of that feminine energy right now, this is a lot of the feminine energy becoming very austere at this moment. Like working through a lot of austerity, because this is feminine energy through this retrograde cycle that is getting very focused in terms of the directionality that they're moving towards, and feeling that sense of, again, calling back their energy in the process so that they can keep their focus on what it is that they're intending to build forth towards at this time. Masculine, this could be masculine supporting a lot of the feminine doing this work right now, because this is the masculine energy that may be navigating these spaces or places of helping feminine, that if the feminine feels overwhelmed, it's because the feminine's trying to give forth in so many different directions and perspectives. For masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work that we're seeing is facilitating upon like the commitment that one is making towards the connection going forward. And this is a lot of the energy that's articulating that commitment on change. Commitment is change. Commitment is the articulation of like what you put your time and energy towards versus what you don't. So we see even now, this is a lot of that energy that is feeling the modality of commitment via what the change is within the self. But what's interesting about this is this isn't change that is occurring in order to, like, because someone's requiring or desiring it. This is the personal change that one sets oneself forth upon because of the value and the viability of an energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, this is, like I said, a little bit of that make or break point in relationality towards what's happening in separation. Because if these are spaces and places wherein, you know, masculine is bringing forth to feminine is receptive towards what they're receiving, but feminine needs that articulation point in relationality to the expression of what masculine is feeling as to whether there's clarity as to what that means going forward. This is either that modality that allows for that point of breakthrough and productive conversation and what is changing that is articulating upon the reality of the commitment, or this is the energy that's expressing the inability to move forward that is being articulated because of that lack of clarity. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now, Wheel of Fortune. And so again, there's a lot of this is that modality. Like, listen, you know, as we said, the beauty of going through a difficult experience is it gives you clarity to avoid coming into one again. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, being able to articulate upon that, it's not like, this is what I meant about, like, and again, this is a little bit of the gift of the retrograde. The past comes back to the surface. This is that modality where it's like, it's something about the past that is coming forward in a way that feels like it is informing the present. It is allowing for that ability of building into productivity, because that observational point on past experiences that is creating clarity here. There's a lot of this feminine energy that is like articulating upon not wanting to repeat an energetic cycle. That's why we see so much of this feminine energy that's like holding their heart space at a bit of a distance, or not just handing it to masculine and saying, I don't know where you're going with it, but Godspeed. You know, like this is a lot of the feminine energy that's being like, no, no. While for masculine energy and separation, this is why that juxtaposition, the ability to articulate on the emotions, if this is something that you thought was required in order to facilitate pathwork forward with feminine, this could be that moment that you're recognizing that, again, the expression of emotions is only one half of the equation. You have to give the expression of the emotions matched with the amplification of what that would mean going forward, articulating what the change is that the emotions require. That's commitment. It's not just the amplification of telling someone how you feel. It's telling someone what is going to change as a result of what you feel. For masculine and feminine energy, you're experiencing those changes within the self that are propelling you forward into a deepening of an energetic commitment. And now is the moment that you're starting to feel like the changes that are occurring within the divine union. This is the divine union that's changing you. Because you may be hitting levels of change here that you may not have been ready to experience or receive, were it not for being in an energetic connection that allows you to recognize and identify that those changes were necessary. While for masculine and feminine energy that is deep within the divine union, this is a little bit of that grinding of the gears that we often hit during the retrograde periods. Things slow down. Feminine was doing great during the slowdown. Feminine is now getting frustrated about the slowdown. Now masculine's nice and cozy in it. Masculine was all restless at the beginning of the retrograde. Now masculines hit their groove. Now they're getting to the end of the darn thing. And now feminine's feeling restless about it. So we've got these energies that are experiencing the juxtaposition. Now the feminine's feeling the way masculine did at the beginning of the retrograde. Masculine's now finally getting cozy the way feminine has been throughout. That is our daily collective energy update. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, I'd like to remind you that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings for the day. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended my class last week. Our next class will be held on Wednesday, September 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our journey into the tarot with an exploration into the Hierophant card. If you would like to become a part of our live class program, simply head over to my Substack, graystrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack will grant you access and entry into our live monthly classes. It will also grant you access to any of the course materials and recordings for our previous classes. So if you're just joining us for the first time, you've got a full month to catch up as to where we are right now. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we're learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary mentorship class with me, wherein we will assess where you are in your own personal tarot journey, and I'll give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize the classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So thank you if you're just joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, events. I post my weekly newsletter there, so you're able to stay up to date on my weekly live schedule. I also post giveaway information there. Speaking of giveaways, we are in the midst of doing our August giveaway. If you would like to win potentially a free private tarot reading with me, head over to the link tree in my bio. There is a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway, but if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner each month, I give away a free reading not only to the person who won, but to whoever referred them. So thank you if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck of winning this month. Finally, I want to let you guys know of a few new offerings I now offer on top of my standard life path readings. I now offer mentorship classes. These can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series. That is a 45-minute class each week over the span of a month that can be focused on whatever area of interest that you are interested in learning about. I take a limited number of students for this reason. Also, for my clients that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to be offering weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, one per week over the span of a month, so that you can stay more consistent on your own journey. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing your energy with the collective, and we will do this again tomorrow.